its chance will come through.
Let's get some more insight on that draft as Dracos is standing by with Misfits coach.
Even the heaviest door can be opened.
Vengeance is at hand. Welcome.
It's a good pick against what they have, and I want you guys.
That's how you draft.
I want you guys to tell me why is it a good pick against what Fnatic have.
So what Fnatic had shown when they locked in the Ivern was the Skarner, the Tristana, and the Braum. So there's a lot of pick potential, there's a lot of single target catch. Ivern, of course, is able to shield that single target and protect one person. And you know they're going to try and flash in for a Senkux or an Hansama. And Maxlow's job is then to keep everyone alive. It's going to be the supportive build as we've seen so many times, you know, with things like Redemption most likely coming in and just its protection for a carry.
Now, Sufficio, last week we talked a lot about how Fnatic have a lot of creative level 1 strategies. So far, they were just sitting in this bot rush. It looks like they don't want to try and go for any invades. And everyone is just going to reset and go back to base. So no early game shenanigans from either side.
And a very standard Fnatic draft, but again, some surprises from Misfits regarding Ivern. And also the Orianna. I just want to mention the fact that from the quarterfinals, we were looking at Senkux as the guy who would play roaming mid laners. That was gonna be his job, or something like a Malzahar, where his job was just to try not to lose lane too hard, and then you bring a suppression ulti for later so you can actually add a lot of value. But he's on a more traditional carry versus carry matchup with the Orianna. It's not a roaming pick, and it's not a super easy to execute champ either.
But I also think that it's great into the Cassio matchup. I think you can trade pretty well in terms of the early levels,
Definitely
just
true.
because that you outrange the Cassio. But also, you talked about how the Ivern is great for protecting single champions. The Orianna just further facilitates that with the bonus movement speed that you can provide with the W, and the extra shielding that Orianna can give. I think it was a good pick that can work out nicely for Misfits.
I really like this for Maxlaw. He didn't take his blue buff early, smites the Scuttle Crab to secure it for himself, and it means that Broxah has no chance of getting to that Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, you cannot contest that if Ivern has a smite available. How quickly he can just destroy the Scuttler. Bot lane is of course going to be the focus on the side of Misfits with Kalista Alistar. They did the same thing against G2 in the very first game of the quarterfinal, and once you actually get enough levels, you can just start hard camping and tower dive Fnatic's bot lane.
A lot of focus here for Misfits to get insight onto what Broxah is planning on this Skarner. Remember that so far throughout the quarters and even semis, Skarner is one of those champions that can have a big early game impact if he wants to. And right now he's going for a bit of a skirmish against Maxley.
And Maxlaw's in a pretty good position here, though. It looks like Caps has the push in the mid lane as well, so if he needed to join his jungler, he could. Instead, Broxah will just back away for the moment. We focus so often on this mid lane matchup, Caps versus Senkux. The fact that Caps has been our all-pro mid laner for so long now, and Senkux has been a mid laner that has struggled to really make an impact.
And coming into this matchup, expectations were that Fnatic will look to continue to play around Caps. Now, he is on a mid carry, he can still make those big plays, but in terms of the early game, Broxah doesn't need to snowball the Cassio because of how well he can play, but we might have to move away from that as we see a gank up on the top side.
Here comes Maxlaw. Whippo goes in with the charge, and now Alphari's in a very good spot. Shielded up, Whippo trying to turn this one around, and Maxlaw looking for the route. Alphari running away, the flash forward. He survives for the moment. Maxlaw's in the midst of all the minions. The bellows, Brad, and Whippo gets the 2v1 in the top lane. Broxah's on his way as well. They might even look for the dive.
Oh, can he get in there and at least stop a recall and then maybe flash him for the kill? Remember the shield for Maxlaw.
Broxah, they stop both the recalls. Whippo coming in as well. Cassio on her way up. Cap's going to try and join this fight. Could be a very early dive here from Fnatic. Alphari jumps in. They're trying to turn it onto Whippo. He gets one. Assist goes across to Broxah as well. And now the dive is well and truly on. Cap's on his way. Broxah there to tank up the tower if needed. Maxlaw's trying to jump around through the bush. Does turn it around onto Broxah, but gets taken out by Caps. And it's 2 quick kills to Fnatic.
This is why Fnatic wanted Whippo in the top lane. Perfect execution on the Ornn. Senkux now joins the fray.
Caps gets the movement speed from the Noxious Blast. She just turns it around onto Senkux. Alphari looking for the knockup, will land, but Misfits cannot follow up on the top lane.
And that was such a close fight. In Misfits' mind, they can kill Whippo in the 2v1 gank initially, especially after he decides to charge forward. I thought, okay, now he's going to struggle, but Ivern barely deals any damage, so it's just 2 tanks kind of that Maxlaw didn't even get almost anything down on Whippo.
It was also all those extra minions of Whippo getting those clutch shields out at the last moment, and Brox's only job here is prevent the backs, wait for our carry Caps to make it up towards the top lane so we can give him some early kills, and Whippo does a good job, again, just buying time.
Also really want to highlight how Whippo kept dancing just outside the tower range. He got rooted the first time just outside, and then the second time, same deal here. So he's not actually taking any extra damage. Rough start for Misfits. It was going to be all about getting the Kalista Alistar lane ahead once they get some levels, once they especially get level 6 on Kalista. Nothing needed to happen before that, but they tried top lane, and man, did it backfire.
Didn't work out for them, but if you do want to have a look at the bottom lane of the map, you can check out all the action on our POV stream, twitch.tv/Riot Games 2, where Hylissang is playing a mighty Braum in this lane into the Kalista and the Alistar. Incredible difficult matchup for him.
Normally we would see Hylissang roaming around the map a lot, but because he is playing Braum, he's probably going to be on the protect the reckless duty, make sure that he can get to those 2-3 items on the Tristana and just focus on enabling his AD carry.
Mechanically intensive recall there.
Ward just disappeared top lane. Whippo's level 6, however. Afari's not.
Brox is on his way to sign the there's a good force shot, but the root caller does not connect. Now Afari's not in the best of shapes. Whippo's still alive. Brox joins the fight, and Maxlaw is not in a good spot at all. Somehow, Whippo is surviving through it all. Eventually goes down to Maxlaw, but it's 2-for-1 in favor of Fnatic.
4 kills for Fnatic around the top lane. Both times it's Maxlaw looking for the first gank with this Ivern here. He's not putting all his emphasis on just trying to put down vision and not actually be too proactive. He's going to this lane. He's looking for another play, but they don't have level 6 here on Alfari, so they don't actually have the early damage to take him down, and then he misses the first ability, and now you're stuck here with Broxa.
And you're just seeing the impact of this shield from the W of Ornn. It gives him so much more survivability, and while Whippo does end up dropping, the fact that Fnatic now have 4 kills in the top side of the map, and this Tristana is doing extremely well in terms of the farm on the bot side, Fnatic feeling very comfortable with how this early game is going.
Incredibly good stuff for them. 1,000 gold up, 7 minutes in, and we can see why they brought in Whippo for this Ornn pick. They said they had a top lane pick specifically for him, and they have used it incredibly well.
He's definitely been doing well.
Keep your eyes on Brox. It feels like that he's reading the pathing of Maxwell extremely well. He's been there to counter gank every single time he's shown up, and now he's pathing towards the bot side. He feels like Drake could be a point of contention, and he's just making sure that vision is being invested around that side of the map.
Now they finally have level 6 on Alfari, so I feel like if you do want to play around top, you can do it now.
Yes.
Or you actually can get a bit more damage against Whippo, because he's obviously just going to stack magic resistance against what's being, shown here from Misfits side.
But look at the difference in items between the two top laners. Whippo so close to his Abyssal Mask, whereas Alfari only sitting on a Mana Crystal and a Ruby Crystal. Definitely not the kind of performance that Alfari has compared to his GG.
If you're on Misfits side, you're probably wondering where it all went wrong in the early game. When we saw them in the first half of the split, they were so focused on getting their mid lane ahead, getting their bot lane ahead, getting that gold lead for the team at 15 minutes. You can see here, in their 9-0 run, they had 1,400 gold ahead on AD carry. They were 700 ahead in the mid lane as well. And then in quarterfinals, it kind of shifted a little bit. They played a slower early game, but they were still very focused on getting Hans Summer ahead.
Yeah. And the reason we don't show top lane here, obviously, and both me and Betty were so excited to jump in and talk about it, is because Alfari was actually just like 100 goal up, despite getting a bunch of solo kills. It didn't really change a whole lot in the matchup, but the fact that it's still bot lane focused, and the early pick Kalista Alistar just screams to us of like, why are you going top lane trying to make something happen? And then when it backfires, you hurt your entire strategy.
And I think what's really interesting about what you can see in the jungle proximity on the bottom is there was a lot of jungle attention around mid, and that wasn't just because Maxwell was ganking mid a lot, it was just that he was working very closely with Senkux to find these kind of leads, whereas in the quarterfinals, that was less of the focus and more of the priority was on snowballing bot side of the map with just the jungler and Hans Summer and mid.
And they have level 6 now in the bottom lane for the Kalista Alistar, which means you can tower dive very, very easily. Not only can Alistar tank all the initial shots with his ulti, you can then also get him out of aggro with the Kalista ult. So there's so many ways to now play around this lane. Problem is, again, you have fallen behind so far as a team, and you don't have a roaming mid. So it's actually just Maxwell showing up at first, and then you might lack damage against what Fnatic is sitting with here with the Braum and the Tristana. And that's one of the reasons I was hoping to get a roaming mid laner, so you send down multiple people. Right now, it feels like the game will slow down a bit, and that only favors Fnatic.
Now Misfits are pinging bot.
They're gonna try, but again, remember, they don't have a lot of damage here.
Braum is on
Not going
the
to be able
job.
to do anything yet. They did secure the Infernal Drake down towards that bottom side, so that is sitting in their back pocket. Will scale up as the game does progress.
Hylissang is roaming up towards mid. This kind of leaves Reckless on islands. He can't even go near the tower, but they're looking for something. They're looking for Senkox.
Seeing Boxer do these tower dives before. Flash, Predator engage. Hylissang here as well.
Oh, he missed
Missed vision. Senko survives. The shotgun brings it back, but a double petrifying gaze. Cap's not in the best of shapes at all. Misfits capitalize in the mid lane.
So close to getting a kill for Fnatic, but Misfits end up getting the turnaround. Barely any HP on the side of Senkox, and this is exactly the kind of play Misfits needed to get back into the game.
And man, we just talked about how Fnatic, they don't need to force anything. They can just keep scaling. They are not in a bad position, but they overforce in the mid lane. Senkox managed to stay alive while the bot lane is going down because Hylissang was mid. It was just a 2v1.
So, gotta recognize how quickly the TP comes in from Alfari the moment he recognizes this is happening. Caps, he uses the grounding to prevent the flash, but then that ulti from Hylissang misses, so he doesn't get knocked up. That forces Caps to flash in, but the shockwave still lands, which buys enough time for Alfari to get in, and the silence was crucial against the Cassio, because without her use of abilities, she wasn't gonna be able to secure that kill.
Such
Life
a
is
big
good.
moment here for Misfits. They even the goal after falling behind in the top lane by now getting a kill for Senkox and getting that bot lane turret uncontested. Let's see if they can actually use Hansama and make it to apply more pressure now that this lane is open.
Now what we would commonly see from Misfits is actually moving their bot lane to the top side of the map, securing a Rift Herald, and then after taking top tower, they look to take the outer tower and mid. And if they had a slightly stronger early game, this would have been the game plan, but they're actually keeping the 2 versus 2, and they've moved Hansama down towards the bot side of the map.
They have plenty of time. Normally when you do a full reset on bottom side, you can still go back to the lane, push it out once again, and then you can move. Reckless, of course, is in a tough spot on Tristana. You are still an AD carry who's going to rely on building crit. You are more focused on scaling with this champion. And Kalista on one item is just going to do a lot more. So now Hansama and Mickey, they have all the tools. Let's see what happens bot side though, because Whippo, he's TPing in.
Ball comes in behind them. Remember, Hansama has the Fate's call to pull out Mickey if needed. The call of the Forge God is stop Mickey now. The time not at all. There's the Fate's call, just drags him out. And that's the safety that you get with a Kalista.
Now that was the teleport invested from Whippo. Alfari couldn't match because he used his TP in mid, but Fnatic don't get anything off the back of it, only relieving a bit of pressure, allowing Reckless to get that push out. Now they have priority over mid.
Oh, Caps is not in a good spot here. Mickey could have flashed in, didn't go for the full engage. Caps backed himself away.
Meanwhile, top lane Alfari gets a bit of free time to push in a wave here. Fnatic really want to force plays in this game here, despite again that composition being great. If we go later, it's almost like they feel like they're on the clock. Because they went mid lane with 3 people. Now they just TP'd bot lane against Kalista Alistar. Mickey didn't even have to ult. They could have just pulled him out instantly with Hansama.
It could be that Fnatic, after getting a big lead up top side, want to try and utilize that lead, but you then think about where they've brought Whippo, and they didn't bring him down mid to set up that dive. They haven't, aside from that TP bot, they haven't really been able to utilize the advantage that he generated for himself, and it has just been Fnatic trying to force a lot of plays that haven't turned into a lot so far in the first 15 minutes.
It's true, and we have to highlight with Fnatic, like the way they've been winning games during most of Summer Split has been through very fast early to mid games. Like they've forced a lot of plays around the mid lane. Once Caps gets ahead, he will then go wherever he wants to, and he will fight whoever is right in front of him. So they like to play fast. Wasn't super necessary here, and when we had a lot of Reckless games in spring, they actually relied more on the late game. That style is still there for Fnatic. They don't have to completely abandon it and only focus on the early game.
And keep your eyes on the mini-map, because you can see the entire bottom side of Fnatic's jungle is lit up with Misfits wards. We have Maxlor moving in as well, and Reckless is by himself. Hylissang now shows up.
Reckless just buffers the jump, will get himself to safety. That tower down to about a 3rd HP. Rico goes down towards the top side. Glacial Fisher used. Hansama and Maxlor are just here. Should be able to secure this tower. Hylissang and Reckless really can't do too much about this.
But I love what they're doing, because by staying bot lane as well, you know the enemy 2v2 can't stop you, and you can then also move to mid with Mickey, and you're a massive threat against Caps if he's ever playing aggressive. So Misfits are keeping control on bottom side, which now gave them a tier 2, and of course Whippo with the Rift Herald can get something top.
First tower does go down to Fnatic. He's going to flash in. There's the engage. Maxlor Ripcaller doesn't connect as Hylissang flashes away. Daisy came down as well, but that Rift Herald is going to get a big chunk on towards the top tower as well.
Gotta highlight, was on a flash. We were a little bit quick there. Hex flashed it, so technically still correct.
Oh, now Misfits roaming up mid. Mickey is there. We do have the ulti from Hansama too.
They know that Whippo's up towards that top position as well as he secures the Spire. Alfari coming down looking for the flank, but unless Daisy can run a little bit faster, he's not going to be able to catch Caps in a sprint.
You can also see Reckless now again just sticking to the bot lane, picking up as much farm as he can. Misfits moving a lot around the map, haven't even based after securing that bot tower. I do believe Hansam's sitting on a lot of gold, but he's crafting right in the middle of the river.
Can't craft in front of Alfari. He's going to get knocked up here. Not a huge amount of damage with only maxed out Alfari and Seconds in the wings. There's Infernal Drake starting as well. Pulled up a force spell fuse, trying to catch up to Hansama. Down she comes out. Hansama flashes. Misfits really want to fight around this. Here we go. There's the shockwave. Only lands onto Caps. Dragon goes down to Fnatic. Caps is done though. And Mickey got a 3-man knock up in the back line as well. Here comes Hansama. Look at the Callista's going to put spears in the back of the Forge God. And Whippo tries to turn it around, but you can't do much in this sort of situation. He's done for. Misfits still chasing here. A root caller might allow Hansama to jump all the way in. There's the knockup. There's root caller Hansama trying to leap forward. 3 quick kills for Misfits in the river.
Misfits now take the lead in terms of kills as Fnatic lose 3 members. They secured the Infernal Drake, but Misfits are not done there. Let's jump into the replay.
So, one thing we have to look at is how much damage can Caps deal from a distance. It's hard for him due to the amount of tanks and long-range CC that can land onto him. Alistar combos, Kalista ult, Senkuk's ulti from an Orianna. Like, there's a lot of things that can actually catch this Cassiopeia, and that is now the long-range ult from Senkuk specifically. And then he's stuck in place. Caps goes down. There's no damage on the side of Fnatic because Reckless has no items at this point in the game, and they simply cannot win the fight after losing their mid laner.
And this is just Fnatic saying that they feel stronger at this point in the game or with their composition than already, but oh, they found him.
Still gets caught out by Caps and rocks to the flash. Ultimate use there by the Skarner.
This is everything we want from a game 1 between Fnatic and Misfits. We want to see Misfits be able to pull the trigger in the early game and find some openings to get kills. Bad start in the top lane, but then by punishing Fnatic for overextending, Misfits have found the way back in the game here. That last teamfight at the Dragon was huge in their favor. Fnatic quickly get something back.
So we need to keep track of how the items are progressing, because these are going to be big defining points for both teams. Oh, another fight kicks off.
Glacial Fisher used Mickey tries to turn it back around on the Hylissang. He puts up the Unbreakable. The war between Fnatic and Misfits. Shockwave only hits on one. Hansama needs to get out of this because that Braum passive is going to do a huge amount of work. There's one. Senkuk splashes straight into the arms of the Reckless. It's flashing forward. Reckless comes back for playoffs. He gets one. There's the second. Superb stuff from Fnatic.
Huge team fight for Fnatic. They baited Misfits in, and now they flip this game on its head once more. They've been forcing a lot of these fights, and Misfits have been the ones in with the advantage, but without Max Law there, Fnatic finally find it.
I can't believe we've had 2 massive team fights already. We're not even at 20 minutes. First at the Drake and then here. A random fight started in the river. Once we get the replay, we can see exactly what happened, but Misfits, they felt confident. They knew, okay, we got some items on our Kalista, we can force another engage. Fnatic, they take it.
Let's have a look at that replay. This is brought to you by Acer Predator.
So let's see the whole setup again. It's after they've already lost Maxline, he's not alive.
Yeah, I think they kick things off with Hylissang forcing the fight, and at this point it's a 4 versus 4, but all of the focus from Misfits goes on to Hylissang. Note how Reckless and Caps perfectly positioned to avoid all damage, and Hansama with no flash very quickly gets locked down.
I think the moment Misfits realized, oh, we can't actually get to the 2 carries in the back, they had to start running away. It was only hitting that Braum as you highlighted, Vedius. I almost called you Reckless there. That's a compliment. Take it. Reckless, he was the man who got a lot of kills. And when he plays Tristana, even though this game wasn't really about him in the early game, he tends to win.
Yeah, tends to do pretty well. 8-1 on that in spring of this year. It was like Tristana and Kennen were the 2 champions. You just can't let Reckless ever get them. And this is exactly why.
Can't let Broxy get that Skarner.
1-0-3 now on Reckless. Caps, he has kind of suffered a number of deaths so far this game, but that's okay. He's still outputting decent damage. He's now completed the Rylai's. And you kind of look at this comp and you're thinking, ooh, Fnatic, these big items that they're starting to complete, they should feel a little bit more confident now coming into these team fights.
I just want to see how Misfits want to execute the next few fights, because I feel like they have 2 options. They have a lot of ways of actually reaching Caps and Reckless at the back with Alistar and the ulti from Senkuk, so they can try and go for this comp where they want to burst the enemy carries and ignore the tanks. But because you have Kalista plus Ivern, there's also a world where you try and kite back. You try and outrange Caps effectively, and then once you have enough spears from Hansama, you can kill a tank in the front.
Are you going to be able to outrange a Tristana, though? Because she only
The
builds
later we
in
go,
range
yeah,
as the game goes
that's
on.
kind of the problem. The later you go, and it feels like right now they have enough damage and CC to try and kill Caps every fight, so they could just go for the backline of Fnatic and use the Kalista ulti very aggressively and not actually to save Mickey.
Fnatic now with a 3,000 gold lead, flash engaged. The Call of Fortune as well. Senkos pops the shockwave, but he's going to get popped himself. Reckless takes down the mid lane of the Misfits.
Very clean dive from Fnatic, and now you can see that with the momentum in their favor, Fnatic are not slowing down. These proactive plays are certainly turning out very favorable for them, and they're getting a lot of control over the top side of Misfits jungle to then set up for the Baron.
Just jumping forward into an Alistar, and Mickey just has to take the damage. No reply yet from Misfits. Have to see where they go next, because they've gone from being 1,000 golds ahead to now being 3,000 gold behind.
And it's scary to see how quickly Fnatic then with Hylissang and Whippo here can just force a play. Senkos felt safe in the mid lane, just wave playing, and then he gets a long-range Ornhold into a Q flash from Hylissang over the wall. Sometimes it's easy to be a carry on the side of Fnatic when you have great support around you, and we've seen that in this game.
Let's have another look at this, because as you say, basically Senkos is under his tower when this starts.
Yep, and it's just that Bwipo had pushed in bot. Alfari can't really even approach the wave. It allows Bwipo to roam towards the mid lane very quickly. Hylissang flash ultis to set up very nicely, but now Misfits are looking for a play of their own.
Still no flash on Caps if he's in the fight, and they can actually get to him first. Reckless can jump out on the Tristana. That's kind of what we're looking for here. Mickey's on his way to the mid lane, so it is 5 versus 5. No one's starting the fight yet.
Whippo's ultimate is just about to come off cooldown as well, so they always have the opportunity to make a fight around that. With the Infernal Drake up, Misfits were trying to make a pick before going for the Dragon.
Yeah, and we talked about how Misfits, if they want to try and kite back with Kalista, because of Ornn, it feels so hard. His ulti is such a long range. No one can really stop it from actually reaching the carries.
And you have a Skarner running at you with Right Explorer, you've got Rylai's Crystal Scepter finished on Caps. If Kalista gets pinged by anything, he's not going to be able to get out of the fight.
Yeah, Misfits are not able to instantly try and kill one of the carries on Fnatic side. Feels almost impossible for Hansama then to have impact in the team fights with the amount of people trying to target him. That's a nice knockout.
Hansama coming up from the top lane as well. Mickey, but Reckless gets away. The shockwave does land, but the root column misses. And here comes the turn from Fnatic. Misfits trying to find a single fight, but they are surviving for the moment. Whipper goes in, Caps and Hylissang there on the back line. Reckless there as well. Mickey trying to do what he can. Whipper's down. 1-0 exchange in favor of Misfits at the moment. Fates call up for Hansama if they want to keep going, but they decide against it for the moment.
Very close fight between the two teams, but Bwipo makes a crucial mistake. Diving underneath the tower as the rest of Fnatic are disengaging means that Misfits find themselves another kill, but they're not able to regain any pressure off the back of that. There's a big wave pushing down towards the bot side of the map. Hansama will catch that wave up top, but Fnatic maintain control over the jungle.
I really like the team fights in this series already. It's only game one, but we've had so many different ones. This was near the Misfits turret, obviously, and this time around, actually, while it was Misfits who started with Mickey and that great, supposed to be a great combo, and it ended up missing. Actually, it looked like it was a bad fight. Whippo over here didn't realize there was a turret.
Went a little bit too deep, but I want to come back to that.
Didn't realize there was a turret?
Nah, I didn't realize.
I want to come back to that because after we watch this replay, we'll have a talk about how these teams are going to win the game.
Yeah, this is actually such a sick setup. If you hit it, it looks fantastic, but he missed it. And now I thought, okay, Senku's going to die. This fight is lost for Misfits, but because he stays alive and then Whippo jumps in under the turret, gets rooted by Max Lore, and he gets feasted. While Mickey's just buying time, Misfits still win the fight.
Reckless will be able to take the tower down, though, as Misfits went towards the top lane to answer that push.
Fnatic still looking good, though. Hold a 3,500 gold lead in their favor. Good vision control around the Baron means that that's still a big win condition for them. And remember, in the draft, we talked about how fast their Baron-taking team is, with a Tristana currently at 2.5 items, the Cassio at 2.5 as well. This Fnatic will just melt through Baron if they decide to start it off.
Misfits on their side, if they manage to actually get to the Baron, we'll probably say we're even faster.
And they have the massive secure as well, because you've got Ballista Spears into it and you've got Cho'Gath Feast, so you can burst that down from a few thousand HP.
Right, you can steal a Baron against Fnatic. It should be impossible to steal a Baron against Misfits with their composition, but they obviously got to get there first. And it feels like in this kind of game, you must win a team fight. You can't, as Misfits, just easily get vision around it, because Fnatic with the Ornn can always force on you.
So let's have a look at how those team fights are going to go. You've got 2 items finished on Reckless, Rapid Fire Cannon and the Storm Razor, Ginsu's Rage Blade and Blade of the Ruin King, alongside a QSS for Hansama to try and keep himself safe from some of that engage from Fnatic. You also have to think about the fact that Max Law has the Ardent Sensor and the Redemption just to help buff up Hansama in these fights.
And I feel like Hansama is going to be crucial because Alfari, he has struggles for this game. Whippo!
Once again, out of position, but Fnatic are going to try and collapse. There's a temple coming in from Alfari as well. Caps here, Rocks are going forward. Hansama down to half HP. Now Mickey's not in the best of spots. Call of the Force God. This is a perfect funnel for Fnatic. Only gets the 1 knocker. Protection used as well. Caps on the flank. Face calling from Mickey. They're trying to take out the carry before they can. The Pet Fun Gates comes out. And Caps is still alive in the midst of it all. The shot only hits onto Reckless. Fnatic find the perfect fight in the Misfits jungle, and they rout through Misfits!
The moment Caps got knocked into the team with the stopwatch ready, it was a bait, it was a trap, it was not what Misfits wanted. They didn't have the damage to instantly kill him. We have to remember they've been forced to build defensive items. They have an Iron jungle who can't deal any damage on his side, so getting Caps in the middle of their team was not what they wanted to do.
Misfits fall apart as Fnatic find themselves a clean ace and a Baron. This all starts off with Whippo. He's just moving into the enemy jungle. He thinks he's fine, walks into 4 members, and at this point you think, oh no, he could be in danger, but he's the tank. He's the front line. Brox then comes in with a crit from Reckless. Hansama is now out of the fight. He can't get involved. The call of the Forge God straight into that funnel allows Caps to get this flank off, and Deficient, as we were talking about, knocking this guy into all your members just brings him closer to Hansama, allows Reckless to flash in, or jump in rather. He can't dodge the shockwave, but it doesn't matter because Fnatic have already won the fight.
And this is why much earlier in the game we were talking about how Fnatic didn't need to force in the early game because their late game team fight with the tanks and then 2 scaling carries is just superior. Misfits simply don't have the damage right now to actually beat these guys because they gotta get through a massive front line and they then gotta kill Caps.
Here comes the round once again onto that backline. Mickey trying to do what he can just to keep the rest of Misfits alive, but they can jump towards Alfari. Reckless with a long range crit. Whippo with the knock-up. Alfari not in a good spot at all. The Cho'Gath's done for, and maybe so are Misfits hopes. Reckless! Holy moly, that's a lot of damage! That's why you bring Reckless back into the team. Gonna go for these inhibitors, and Fnatic might be looking for the win.
Fnatic have their eyes set on game 1. Things looked a little crazy at the beginning of the game, but one big team fight swung the favor in Fnatic's favor, and they're gonna get the win.
Fnatic strike first. They're gonna team fight their way to victory and take a 1-0 lead over Misfits.
So, big surprise in the draft was the Iron.